Bitcoin is about to go up, way up. How do we know this? Because of the predictable patterns of the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. In the last video about the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, we looked at what exactly the Bitcoin 4-year cycle is and how the Bitcoin price jumps following the Bitcoin halving event. Anyone can look at a chart and see the price moves up after the halving. But remember, correlation isn't necessarily causation. But the dirty little secret that causes the price to go up, well, I've got it. And if you want it, then you definitely need to watch this video as I uncover the secrets of the Bitcoin halving. And at the very end of this video, I'm going to reveal to you the mind-blowing truth about the Bitcoin halving that you've got to see to believe. Let's get it. I'm not a financial advisor. Welcome to Armstrong Crypto X. Don't just trade crypto, experience it. If you enjoy learning new things about crypto that makes your journey easier, make sure to hit that subscribe button to become a part of Ben Nation. Today, we're getting into the supposed supply shock that occurs following the Bitcoin halving that makes the price of Bitcoin go up every 4 years. So if you missed my Bitcoin halving explainer video, please make sure to click the link on the screen and watch that video to learn the ropes before we get into the supply shock. So let's get very basic here with some things you're going to need in order to follow along with today's video. Let's start with this. The market price of a good or service is dependent upon its supply and demand. I understand many of you feel like you get the idea. If there is a lot of something, it will be worth less than an item that is rare if demand is constant. So let's take oil, for instance. The demand for oil actually doesn't really change that much. Really doesn't change at all in the short term based on the price. OPEC knows that it can increase or decrease the supply, aka the number of barrels of oil produced over a predetermined period of time. Increasing the output of oil barrels would mean they need to slightly lower the price. They are making more. Decreasing the output of oil barrels would mean OPEC slightly increases the price. Oil needs a body to set prices to keep the market fair and keep independent countries or oil producers from skewing the market based on lowering their own prices significantly. So OPEC just made a massive cut for 2024. They dropped the amount of oil production by 5% globally. OMG, that is insane. People don't know how to cope. Now, I want you to imagine this. OPEC cuts the oil production 50% every 4 years. Oh, and by the way, they just figured out the total amount of oil in the world, so we have a specific cap to go off of. It's about 1.7 trillion barrels of oil. I really want to show you the power of compound supply cutting on a commodity like oil, which is like Bitcoin. Right now, we're using, well, we'll just call it 35 billion barrels of oil per year. Now we're constantly producing more, but we're losing more every year than we produce for reserves, so one day we will run out of oil, at least for the most part here on Earth. Let's say hypothetically, OPEC says that they're going to start a process to stop the world from producing oil over time. And in fact, they're going to dramatically cut the amount available in the world. According to our numbers here, we would run out of oil in 50 years if we continued at the same pace. OPEC decides that every 4 years, they're going to cut the amount of oil available by 50%. Instead of 140 billion barrels used over 4 years, it was reduced to 70 barrels. Then 4 years later, now watch this, when the available barrels get cut in half again, we are now down to only 25% of the supply compared to 100% demand if we assume all other factors stayed constant. In this example, that just means we aren't factoring in like electric cars. Strictly, current supply and demand of oil. By 2052, there would be less than 1% of the current production of oil. Unreal to think about. Right now, the price is about 75 bucks per barrel. If all things were the same, the new price of oil in 2052 would be $7,500 per barrel. The effect of supply and demand when altered dramatically like Bitcoin does is called a supply shock. A supply shock, according to Investopedia, is an unexpected event that suddenly changes the supply of a product or a commodity, resulting in an unforeseen change in price. Supply shocks can be negative, resulting in a decreased supply, or positive, yielding an increased supply. Assuming aggregate demand is unchanged, a negative or adverse supply shock causes a product's price to spike upward, while a positive supply shock decreases the price. Of course, with Bitcoin, we aren't actually literally adjusting the supply. We are simply changing the rate at which new Bitcoin is brought into the supply. It essentially has the same effect, but it is different. Different things are good, but sometimes there's something great about the same old, same old. And one thing that's constant on the Ben Armstrong Crypto X channel is that it is powered by Stake. Stake is the world's largest social casino. You can play games, chat with actual women dealers, and they may even respond to you because they have to. You can get some gold coins along with some free Stakes cash. Don't miss out on your chance to get in the game. QR code on the screen, link in the description. So this idea of a controlled supply was very elegantly laid out in a chart called the Bitcoin stock to flow model, created and popularized by X.com user Plan B. In the last bull run, Plan B was hitting his price predictions on his model dead on almost the entire bull run, until the chart totally fell flat at the end. The stock to flow model showed an easy 120K Bitcoin, and my belief and faith in the stock to flow in the last bull run was unwavering, until it wasn't. The 2021 bull run ended without even a whiff of 100K, definitely not 120K or any of the numbers the chart was calling for. The question is, was Plan B off, or did SBF tank the market? Either way, the chart doesn't really line up anymore. It's a chart we should watch though during this bull run to see if, who knows, maybe we could get back on track? On track for $1 million Bitcoin in this cycle? So first, let's break down the narrative of the Bitcoin halving and supply shock and then compare that to reality to see if it lines up. Here's the narrative. Bitcoin goes up in price beginning in the few months following the Bitcoin halving because the miners have been supply shocked, which causes them to recalibrate their entire operations. The miners understand the Bitcoin supply change means the price is about to go up and they need to hold on to their Bitcoin now as long as possible before selling. Great. Cool story, bro. But is this actually what happens? Well, it's kind of hard to say. The numbers, they actually paint a different picture. At the end of this video, I'm going to explain the truth about the Bitcoin halving, the reality of the situation. But now let's break down some of the individual components of the Bitcoin halving narrative. Let's talk miner supply shock. Are the Bitcoin miners really so unprepared for a constant predictable event that they don't know how to maintain their business model afterwards? There are some news organizations that are actually pushing that narrative right now. 9 out of 11 of the largest public miners may go unprofitable. Guys, this is BS. In fact, anyone who understands mining at all knows that now the miners know what to expect about the halving. In this article, it really explains this part well. Over the years, Bitcoin miners have developed various strategies to prepare for these halving events. Historically, they responded to the reduced block rewards by optimizing their operations, upgrading hardware, and increasing energy efficiency. Bitcoin halving strategies often ensure operational costs remain below the reduced rewards, which requires planning and resource allocation. Guys, the miners know what they're doing at this point. Something different for this cycle compared to last time are the transaction fee percentages of overall miner revenue though. At first, miners believe transaction fees to be a large part of their rewards, not just the block rewards for mining a block. And I think the transaction fees actually go within that, but they are separately counted. However, over time, it seemed as if transaction fees would never make a significant dent in overall revenue. Thanks to ordinals though, the percentage of the network rewards that were transaction fees spiked from below 10% all the way up to almost 30%. There are now more transactions on the Bitcoin network, so of course that obviously means there are more transaction fees. So that has helped ease some of the burden, but the miners have stuff to do as the halving approaches. And one thing they're always doing after the halving is selling tons of Bitcoin. Wait a minute, that doesn't sound right, does it? I thought they were holding their Bitcoin. That's what we were told. But wait, as recently as last month, Bitcoin miners were actually selling $129 million in Bitcoin in one day. But that was nothing. A few days later, miners dropped 10,000 BTC on the market, 450 milli worth. And selling after the halving, well, that's actually their specialty. It's something that's pretty much constant, and it seems to fly in the face of our fun miners hodl story. Quick look at this chart shows that during the first two Bitcoin cycles, miners sold massive amounts over the 4-year period. This last cycle was the only accumulation cycle in the history of Bitcoin for miners. Miners gained over 662,000 Bitcoin while selling millions in the past. It's hard to say exactly what effect this accumulation will have on the market this go round, but it could be good. In fact, miners are selling the year after the halving. And I think first I do need to mention this data could be slightly skewed. I would be very interested to break down the miners selling during the first 6 months after the halving compared to the last 6 months of the 12-month period when miners sell after the halving. Now guys, remember this, no exchange is working harder towards a transparent Bitcoin trading experience than my exclusive sponsor and exchange partner, Phemex. You can sign up with the QR code on the screen or the link in the description. Down there, you can actually get what we call the Trading Power Pack. Make sure to go grab your Palau ID so you can trade Bitcoin on leverage or margin. Peace of mind knowing you can complete KYC, just like me. No more withdrawal headaches or customer support nightmares. Okay, so to finish up on our topic today though, I really want to just leave you with one thought. It's an idea. It's kind of scary, but it's also kind of powerful. I believe the truth is the Bitcoin halving makes the prices of Bitcoin go up based on tons of different factors, but mainly the price of Bitcoin goes up following the halving because people believe the price of Bitcoin goes up following the halving. A lot of evidence to support that. Here's a report on the halving with tons of info, but I wanted to leave you with one quote as we try to understand how markets actually work. After discussing why supply shock narratives don't line up with the numbers, the writer says, with that said, the halving narrative may still bring in net new buyers. Markets can be self-fulfilling. So even though the data contradicts the narrative, if people believe it's true, it can be true. Perception becomes reality. Markets are reflexive like this, and crypto markets are intensively reflexive. Perception is reality, folks. Maybe Bitcoin goes up because we believe it's going to go up. Interesting thought. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit the like button on your way out. It helps us keep the lights on. Be blessed.